All right, great. So how are you doing?
Good. It's good to be here.
Are you having a good time at GamesBeat Summit so far?
Yeah, I like it. It's beautiful to come from snowy Norway to this nice California weather to talk about games.
Great. So what specifically are you here to talk to us about?
So yeah, I'm here to introduce most of you to interactive mixed reality, which is the new way of making games and interactive content. So at the Future Group, we've developed a technology which allows for live rendering of graphics when you film something in a TV studio. And we've just launched our first format, which is a game show called Lost in Time. It launched in Norway a month ago. And it also comes with an app with a mobile version of the games that the contestants can do. So they can play against the people in the studio, the people at home.
Awesome, awesome. That sounds really interesting. I think it'll definitely help everyone to get a better idea if they see the video that you brought along.
I think so too.
All right, great.
Let's go for it.
With mixed reality, we merge real and virtual worlds to produce a new environment where physical and digital objects coexist in real time. Interactive mixed reality goes further by using an app to connect the viewers at home into that mixed environment so they can participate in gamified versions and share one unified experience.
Awesome. That was really cool. So the way that this works is, as we saw in the video, people are in a green screen studio and they're interacting with props, but then the viewers at home, what they see is that footage that looks like it's gone through post-processing, but it hasn't. That's all in real time rendered, and then they're watching it on their TV. Is that right?
Exactly. And so normally when you're in a green screen studio, you would film it and then you'd put the backgrounds on afterwards. But what our technology allows is that you see the virtual result immediately in the monitor, so that when the girl in the video, when she triggers the gun or the aiming device, she actually blows up the virtual targets immediately.
Interesting, interesting. So a lot of people here are probably familiar with the concept of mixed reality from game trailers and stuff like that as a way to show what it's like to be inside of VR, but these people in the studio, they're not wearing a headset, they're not wearing any goggles. What was the decision to have them be inside of reality while also combining it with the digital?
Yeah, that was actually a very important part of this, because this is supposed to be for TV. And you want to see people's emotional reactions, and you don't want to see someone with goggles, you want to see their eyes. So part of the challenge of designing this was allowing them to just see what they needed in order to have a proper emotional reaction, because these are not actors. These are regular people who have been cast because they have, a competitive instinct, and they're entertaining on TV. But you would have to give them enough to act on to have a proper emotional reaction, and that's why you also saw most of my team and a lot of my coworkers, we would be the ones, first of all, finding what's the fine line between fun and dangerous when you're on a motion platform, like when is it cranked up too high, and also what is the amount of virtual that you need to see. So in some of our games, like you saw, the logic puzzle with these pipes, the contestant actually doesn't see anything virtual at all. They just see the prop, and they have their two teammates in the neighboring studios seeing everything, and so they can tell and help and tell them where to go. In the shooting game, there's a small screen inside the aiming device where they see a small section of the virtual set while their teammates are in what we call home base, also can see the whole picture and tell them to go left or right. For the driving games, you know, as you saw, you have a screen and you sit in the prop, and it's actually enough to get that immersion. And I've played all of the games many times myself, and you do feel like you've been inside the virtual world, even if you haven't had goggles, even if it's just been a smaller segment of your field of view.
Interesting. It's almost like it's a window into another world for those contestants, and the people at home that are watching, they get to see that entire world surround the contestants while they're at home. But it's not just a passive viewing experience, right? There's something for people at home to do as well.
Yes. So and that's the really cool part for me, as coming from pure game production before coming into this, because we also have this app where all the 24 different challenges are available in mobile versions. And when the show is on, you can play the same challenge that the contestant is playing, and you're in a way competing against them, because if you get a better score, you'll have bonus points. And you also have the winner in the show wins a money prize. And we also pick a winner of the home players who wins the same amount of money each week. And we also have real prizes, and they can play, the players at home can play throughout the week. We have meta features, which keeps them engaged, keeps them coming back, and earning virtual currency to enter live tournaments when the show is on. So we're seeing over 20% of viewers are actually using the app and playing along with the show, and we see like great enthusiasm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Among the viewers.
And so you said it's been in Norway for about a month now, is how long it's been live?
Yes. And no, it's fun to see. We have really engaged users. We're seeing average session lengths of over 18 minutes, which is quite unique for a mobile app. But people are loving it, and they get really engaged in this obviously because they want to win real prizes, but also because it's something new. And I think the added bonus of having played through the week, and then you see it live, and a contestant is being briefed on doing a challenge, and then you have that bonus of, I know that challenge, I've played that, I mastered that, I know what's coming up, I know how to beat the contestant, and I think people are getting engaged from that new kind of interactive experience.
With something like this, I'm sure it's probably difficult to communicate exactly what a viewer is seeing, right? Because usually a viewer is used to seeing a CG animated movie, or playing a game or a cartoon, or seeing props in a movie they go to the theaters to see. But this is very different. It's almost like a combination of industries together. You have, you know, the game element of it, which, you know, it's created in the Unreal Engine, is that correct?
Yes.
And then you're also combining the expertise of filmmakers and all those sort of elements together. And it's you're combining the digital and the physical, but you're also combining two industries together in a way. And so what are some of the challenges that you've seen with that sort of unique take on entertainment?
Yeah, that's actually been one of the most interesting things for me, that, yeah, we've actually combined three industries. It's film or special effects, it's television, and it's games. And for me, designing the games, I worked with a British game producer who's worked on game shows for 15 years.
Oh, like actual
physical game shows.
Got
so
it.
we had the same title, we're both game producers, but it means very different things. And where I'm used to thinking about the player, the person at home, using the device or the computer, he's used to thinking about and making it fun for a player. He's used to thinking about it has to be fun for a contestant, but it also has to be fun to watch on television. And so we came together having an additional challenge of making it fun for all three, which was new. So that was fun for us, and just working out a vocabulary on how to nail that. And I think also the collaboration between the industries was very interesting, and probably the most also challenging and frustrating, because a word will mean something different for each department. Just using the word asset will mean something different in each department, and the way you make decisions, like in special effects, you can work on a virtual background for as long as you want until, you know, it doesn't do anything. It's like a painting. You can just paint and paint and paint. It doesn't do anything. But now it was like, oh, actually, if you change that, it could break the code for the game. So introducing something like a code freeze was very unpopular at first, but then you saw the consequence of that, and then you get into it, and just, yeah, that in game development you make all the decisions in the beginning. You know what you want, but in TV you can always do some decisions later. You can wait until you're in the editing room, or you can wait until you do sound, and just talking together and figuring out a way for everyone to collaborate was very, very cool. And I think we all got out on the other side, like everyone being really proud of the product.
Cool. And for your personal background is in a lot of traditional game development. You worked at Funcom, is that correct, on Age of Conan, the MMO?
Yes. So MMOs, Facebook games, mobile, so basically most platforms. And so this was, for me, sort of the next challenge, like what is new, what's the new thing, and that it really feels like a new frontier. And I see a lot of people who are my colleagues at the Future Group are these people who've reached a great level of expertise in their field and sort of are interested in a new challenge.
Yeah, it's really surprising to see the different layers here, because, you know, as everyone knows here, the topic is about combining the physical and the digital, and, you know, melding them together. And in the case of Lost in Time with the Future Group, you've done that in the sense that people that are on the show are interacting with digital and physical objects that they don't see, but then the contestants, whenever it's on TV, the people at home see it. But then they've also got the app as well that they're interacting with directly. So it's a multiple layer system there. And I know for you, as you said before, it's different because you're not used to having to worry about there being a viewer or someone watching something as it happens, just the player that's interacting directly. And so it's almost like you're building something that's for two different audiences in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that third small audience, which is the actual game contestant, because we're so dependent on their emotions and their competitive spirit, and they have to think it's fun as well. Because if it doesn't work for them, then obviously it's going to be boring to watch, and it's going to be boring for the people playing at home. So, absolutely. Yeah.
For something like this, what are some of the other applications you see for this outside of just a game show setting, or outside of just the particular use case you guys have done here? Do you see a way that the technology of mixed reality being interactive and being created in real time, how do you see that being used in other entertainment mediums in the future?
We're already, I mean, the sky is the limit, I think. We're already working on different things. We have a product now called Frontier, which allows for studio work. So you could do, like in a TV studio, you could render in a background, you could do it here. We could have, when this was being streamed, you could have it broadcast as you and I sitting on Mars, or, you know, in the pool, to do live renders for that. And you could do anything, like I think e-learning, big concerts, travel. I think you have a lot of opportunity, and the technology is developing so quickly. So I think the opportunities are pretty cool and very interesting.
Awesome. So how exactly is that different than just a normal green screen that someone might use for any use that they would use to put, you know, a different background if they record video? How exactly is this different? What does it do that is so unique?
Because you can interact with it immediately, because it's real time, and because we're using the Unreal Engine, and it's the first time. So it's basically putting a game engine into linear television. And at least the broadcaster in Norway, their goal was to get a lot of young people who don't watch linear television anymore, to get them back. And that's really cool because we see our main demographic are, you know, between 15 and 25, and they're really like coming back to this. And I think it's the real-time element that's attractive to that, because it's not just if I would push here and a rocket could go off there, that wouldn't happen in a normal green screen setting.
Right, because they have to worry about editing and timing the exact thing to hit and then have something appear. And you know, that's what happens with TV shows and movies now with the special effects. But as you said, you know, using game engines allows you to do a lot of that stuff in real time. And
yeah,
that's a really interesting combination of industries, I think, that not many people are experimenting with right now.
Yeah, and it's also a cool challenge for the game developers, at least from my perspective. I saw like my team, which were, a few of them were in the video as well, like the systems designer is not just a systems designer, he also carries props around in the studio, or you know, the programmers would also be responsible for running the games while it was recorded in the studio, and they're used to, you know, sitting quietly at their desk with their headphones, just talking to each other on Slack, and suddenly they would be in a studio and have to concentrate and do their job when there's like 100 people running around screaming at each other, you know, because that's sort of the nature of television. It's a different way of communicating, and it's fun to see, yeah, the way people interact, just also sort of in the job and learning to know each other and respect each other's professions.
Awesome. And for people that are interested in kind of getting involved in mixed reality and interactive mixed reality, well, what would your advice be to them for things that they should focus on in their work, and I guess different knowledge bases that they should learn? Is it, you know, is it a pure combination of TV, film, and games, or do you think having a gaming background or a film background is more helpful, or how exactly do you think someone should approach if they want to get involved in mixed reality?
That's a good question.
So many places to start. Right?
Yeah, and I think any background, right? It could be from film, it could be from television. And I think the ideas that people bring to the table, like, will just come from something you'd want to see. And I think it's important that the experience drives the development of the technology and not the other way around. That I would love to be able to do that and then, you know, do it. And I think that's been cool with the other talks here. Like, people are inspired of sci-fi novels, and then, you know, they do that and they take it from the fiction and then they build the technology. And I think that's part of the core also with interactive mixed reality. We want to make, with Lost in Time, we wanted to make entertainment, right? We wanted to make a family game show where, you know, you could be in the medieval ages, you could be in the Jurassic ages, and it was all like getting excited about the experience. And I think that would be my best advice. Like, just, yeah, if you're excited about imagining these kinds of experiences, I think it's valuable.
It's really interesting because I feel like a lot of the talks we've seen have been about how sci-fi has predicted a lot of the stuff we've done with VR and AR and mixed reality now. But now we're starting to see stuff like this that's kind of going in a different direction. It's no longer being plugged into a computer or wearing a headset. It's kind of combining things and letting people view through windows into other realities in a way. And so what are some of the ways, before we wrap up here, that you see VR and AR and mixed reality changing as time goes on in the next, you know, 2, 5, 10 years? How do you see our industries expanding?
Well, I think Tim Sweeney said something very interesting of that earlier, and because it's the second you can detach it from a certain type of device, like when you can take VR and not just think goggles, but when you can then think like this, maybe, or in another way that's not thought of yet, or AR does not have to be attached to your phone, or, you know, a certain device, and I think that's coming, and yeah, that's what will sort of make it mainstream and make it for everyone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with me. I think we're almost out of time here, but thank everyone for watching, and let's have a great rest of GamesBeat Summit.
Yeah, thank you.